This is Ham Radio Now, episode 261.
Stranger Hams.
Yes, it is another reference to popular culture. Stop that. No, this is not clickbait. You know, QRZ.com actually changed the title of one of my programs, the last program, because they was clickbait, too clickbaity. Let's see, where are we? There we are. Ham Radio Now, episode 259, was Pokeham Gota, and they didn't even use my alternate title, which was parody amended. They changed it to the Ham Radio Parody Act. No imagination. But, you know, that's cool. I understand. Yeah, and I think they may have done me a favor because I think they got me a lot more views and comments after they did that. So, I don't think very many hams understand Pokemon, except for Sean Kutzko. Sean gets it. This is his Facebook page. I find it absolutely baffling that the same folks who are complaining that ham radio needs to reach out and touch a younger audience are so steadfast against Pokemon Go. And if you've seen very much Facebook and probably a lot of other media, I've seen it on Facebook. A lot of hams are going, Pokemon Go is stupid. People are wasting their time. Or one of my favorites, real men don't do Pokemon Go. I'm going to turn in my man card. Yeah. So anyway, Sean says the object of Pokemon Go is to collect as many Pokemon as possible. You can travel to other locations to collect them. You can engage in competition with others. The Pokemon slogan is "Gotta catch 'em all." Sounds like gotta work 'em all to Sean. So, yeah, hams, bunch of old stick in the mud curmudgeons. I don't play Pokemon. Cindy does. She's still at level 4, but I was watching her last night. We were going out to dinner and walking down the sidewalk and kawam, getting the Pokemons. She was having a good time. But QRZ.com, you can leave this program alone. This one, Stranger Hams, because I'm actually going to do some show and tell about the program. So you guys stay tuned. Oh yeah, I'm Gary Pierce. Forgot about that. I'm Gary Pierce. KN4AQ. Ham Radio Now is brought to you by you. Hey, Arvin, how you doing back there? If you enjoy the programs, get something out of them, hamradionow.tv is the website. Click on Arvin's icon. You know the drill. So, yes, Netflix has a new sci-fi show called, not the Sci-Fi Network, science fiction show called Stranger Things. And it's got a little bit of ham radio in it. And I'll get to that in a minute. But first, well, I launched a Kickstarter yesterday for doing that video thing at the ARL and Tapper Digital Communications Conference. And yesterday I made a little video of it. This is the Ham Radio Now Kickstarter for producing video of the 2016 ARRL and Tapper Digital Communications Conference. There we go. September 16th to the 18th. I was going to, to me and me. I was going to embed that in this episode, but I ran out of time. So I ran out of time for doing the rest of the episode, so I just did that. And now I'm doing this. So let's take a look at the Kickstarter, though. Let's see how we're doing. It's been on for 24 hours. The best way to get to the Kickstarter is to go through the Ham Radio Now webpage, hamradionow.tv, because the Kickstarter web address itself is way too complicated. So just go to the Ham Radio Now webpage, click to enter, and I've got the links and all that stuff right up here at the top. So you click on the Kickstarter thing, or you could click on the picture or a bunch of places. And you can see how we're doing. It's been running for about 24 hours. 15 backers, $950 have been pledged. Oh, I was so hoping that when I just looked at that, it would have crossed the $1,000 mark, but not quite, but close. And 15 people and almost $1,000 of the $5,000 that I am looking for. You guys are totally amazing. Usually the Kickstarters get a kind of an inrush at first, and it runs for 30 days, and across the rest of the 30 days, it will eke its way up, and then hopefully cross the finish line easily and well in time. That my heart can't take the strain of just last minute crossing the line. Last year we did not cross the line. Last year we didn't make it. I had a $10,000 goal that might have been a little. I wouldn't call it greedy, because that's about what it takes to do, but it was something that the Kickstarter wasn't quite going to be able to fulfill. It did get up to about $6,500. So I set it at $5,000. I think that's more reasonable, and said that if you read the text on the Kickstarter page, it said that that will pay for the travel and the expense of going down to shoot it. It won't cover my time for editing. It takes most of my fall, so it won't cover the time for editing. But just I'll sit here and say, please send more money, and you probably will. So anyway, the $5,000 is better than last year, because last year was zero, and I decided to go do it anyway. So that's the Kickstarter. Yeah, there's that address that's way too complicated. So don't even bother trying that. Just hamradionow.tv. And now back to our regularly scheduled program. Where was I? Oh yeah, Stranger Hams. And there is, like I was saying, this new Netflix original series. It's called Stranger Things. Yeah, let's take a look at that. I think this is going to play. There we go. So it's a science fiction show. It's a limited series. It's just 8 episodes. There's just going to be one season. And as usual for Netflix, all 8 episodes came out at once. So you can binge watch it if you want. I have seen it all. And I didn't really find it totally binge-worthy. It was okay. It's not in the class of my favorites on Netflix, things like Daredevil and Jessica Jones. And I watch a lot of older TV shows and some movies now and then. But it was okay. I watched it mostly to see how much ham radio there was going to be in it, because that's the reason I'm bringing it up. It does have, the Duffer Brothers, by the way, the Duffer Brothers are from around here being the Raleigh-Durham area. They cut their teeth making movies here and film festivals and things like that. I don't think they live around here anymore. So again, the reason that I'm bringing this up is that there is a ham radio component to it. And I guess I should say there is a CB and ham radio component to it, because those two things get woven into the story. It's not an integral part. I said that right? Integral part of the plot, the way Frequency is. The CB is in there a little bit more than ham radio. The CB is a useful tool. The ham radio is there mostly to help establish the characters. And I can show you most of the ham stuff without actually giving anything away. So let's play a little clip.
So, did it come?
Sorry, boys. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but it came.
And there it is. What is it?
The Heathkit Ham Shack. Ain't she a beaut?
I bet you could talk to New York on this thing.
Think bigger.
California?
Bigger.
Australia? Oh, man. When Will sees this, he's totally gonna blow his shit.
Lucas.
Sorry.
Hello, this is Mike Wheeler, president of Hawkins Middle AV Club.
What are you doing?
Hello, this is Dustin Anderson, Secretary and Treasurer of Hawkins Middle AV Club. Do you eat kangaroos for breakfast?
Sorry to interrupt, but
Okay, I'm sorry they interrupted too, because that's the end of the ham radio sequence there. And that's about it for the ham radio. Well, there's one more scene coming later. I'll tell you about that in a minute. The kids are the primary characters in the program. The teacher is not. He's a secondary character. He'll come back, but he's not a primary character. Hams, of course, are now getting mad because the usual stuff. The kids did not use call signs. They used inappropriate radio procedure. And the show doesn't turn into a ham radio license class. You guys. What it does show is the 3 middle school kids are in the AV club. They are typical geeks. They play Dungeons and Dragons. They like science. They are not science geniuses. They just like science. They're average, geeky kids who will probably turn out to get ham radio licenses and maybe someday become engineers. Probably not top guys at Google or Apple, but, somewhere in the middle of the deck. They're not geniuses. By the way, the show is set in the 80s, so the radios that you don't really see very well here are a Heathkit DX60 transmitter, an HR10 receiver, and the station had an HG10 VFO and a Turner microphone. I used to have one of those. Wonder what happened to it. The Heathkit radios are actually from the 1960s. I think I got a picture of that here, courtesy of this guy who was advertising them for sale on KeyWordZ.com, and it's a long time ago, 2011. So if you still want to buy some, don't try to get them from him. Let's see, I got to do this if I'm going to point them out. The HR10 receiver, the DX60 transmitter, the, HB10 VFO. Again, vintage from the 1960s, and the show is in the 1980s. So this picture is not from the show. You don't see them that well in the show. Heathkit was getting out of the ham radio business at about the time this show vintage is, the mid 1980s. But plenty of DX60 and HR10 stations would still be in use, and they might have been looking a little more long in the tooth than what they looked like in that show. But again, we didn't get a really good look at them. But it would be totally reasonable for a science teacher on a science teacher's budget to come up with that as the station for the kids. The VFO and the microphone indicate that it was set up for more than just plain novice use. Hello, Australia. Do you eat kangaroos for breakfast? Yeah, that would be a good question. Okay, there is one more visit to the ham shack in the series. I am not going to show it to you because I don't think you could take it. The scene shows the radios burning up in a fire because, well, they did their job and it killed them. Sorry, that's a minor spoiler alert. So yeah, I don't think the kids are hams yet. They have also some CB walkie-talkies, and those get used on and off throughout the series, and we can take a look at that.
Lucas, do you copy? It's Mike.
Lucas!
Hey, it's Lucas.
I know it's you. And say over when you're done talking so I know when you're done.
Over.
I'm done. Over.
I'm worried about Will. Over.
Yeah. This is crazy. Over.
I was thinking, Will could have cast protection last night, but he didn't. He cast fireball.
Over.
Talking about Dungeons and Dragons.
Over?
My point is, he could have played it safe, but he didn't. He put himself in danger to help the party.
Over.
Me 10. Over and out.
Over and out, Lucas, my man. Awesome. So why is their CB procedure better than their ham procedure? I don't know. but it is. And that radio procedure is not really all that phony. It's not all that bad. And Mike, he's the white kid. That was me ordering a friend to say over when you're done. And thank you, Lucas. Lucas is the black kid. Thank you for the over and out. That made my day. So why is the CB procedure better than their ham procedure? I don't know. But don't get your hopes up. It doesn't last. Later on, the writers abandoned the idea that radio is a simplex, one at a time kind of thing. People interrupt each other when they get all excited. Even the police do. The police are using some Motorola MX series walkie-talkies, vintage 70s and 80s. And, you know, they get all excited and they need to interrupt, and they do, as if you could on radio. But, you know, hey, Bruce Willis did that in Die Hard and Die Hard 2 and Die Hard 3. Pretty typical in Hollywood. The CB radios work with the antennas collapsed, and sometimes they transmit just because it would be convenient for someone to be able to listen in on something's happening, even though nobody's pushing the button. So, you know, it's fairly typical. Just lets the producer move things along without having to get all tied up in the arcanery of the real technology. So don't get your undies in a bunch about the radio stuff. If you've already got Netflix, you might want to check out Stranger Hams or Stranger Things as a show, an eight series show. I've seen better, certainly seen worse. I will confess that I did watch it to the end, and I binged a few of the episodes just to see if ham radio came back in any significant way before the end of the program. And it doesn't. So, okqrz.com. I think I have earned the right to keep Stranger Hams as the title for this program. And as long as I'm reviewing media, there's some other stuff that I want to show you that I've been kind of waiting for the opportunity to bring out. The first is this video from the RSGB, actually a couple of videos from the RSGB. They've been producing some good stuff, and let's look at the first one.
I like ARDF because it's a good amalgamation of amateur radio, and it's good for people that like...
So this program is just a series of activities with interviews and, you know, very enthusiastic and mostly young people talking about the stuff that you can do in ham radio and, you know, promoting it for Britain through the RSGB.
Whether it's receiving video from the International Space Station, restoring classic broadcast vehicles, going out portable and operating from a hilltop, or experimenting with Raspberry Pis, you know, amateur television has got something for everybody.
All right. So, hang on there, you guys. The second video is the original one that I wanted to show you. And I came across this one when I was looking for that one. So have I got that stopped adequately? Yeah, I think I do. This is the one that I wanted to show because I've got a nit to pick about it. But let me show it to you a little bit first. Very dramatic music.
We live in an age of amazing technology. But for some people, just being a consumer of off-the-shelf gadgets isn't enough. If you're bored with this and looking for something more exciting, why not take a trip around the world at the speed of light?
Delta Kilo 8 Lima Golf. This is Mike X-Ray 0 Sierra Sierra Whiskey. Okay, thank you, Frank, for coming back to my...
Oh, look, there's another Mike.
My name is
Introduce him to Mike from Netflix, from Stranger Things. The minor nit that I've got to pick is that in this video, everybody is a kid. There'll be a few adults doing narration and stuff, but everybody operating is a kid. All of the interviews are with kids.
Using the Raspberry Pi.
And if this is being shown to kids, they're going to get a somewhat mistaken impression that they are looking at a hobby or an avocation that is full of kids. These are real hams. You know, I don't think they got phony staged people, but it's not a real
with hundreds of different ways to have techie fun. Using this,
not a totally accurate way of portraying ham radio. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing, because if you're going to attract kids into it, showing a bunch of old people like me, maybe not such a great idea. So let's show them that there are kids. They'll find them.
Signals you transmit travel around the world at the speed of light. No internet connection or mobile phone signals are needed.
So it's super well
Just your
produced.
own
So
skills as a radio hand.
again, that's don't get on me for having a minor nitpick. It's because it is a minor nitpick, and generally RSGB, awesome job. Okay, so with the RSGB doing something that is all young people, I'm going to move on to something that is even more dedicated to young people, and that is a video that was produced by some folks for Reddit. And I've talked about Reddit a little bit before. I've been spending a little bit more time on Reddit. Reddit is an online bulletin board type community, and it's not just ham radio. There's a tiny little spot for ham radio inside of Reddit. And I've gotten on there. They don't want me to just get on there and promote ham radio now every time I've got a new show. So I don't do that. They're happy to have me do that once in a while if I participate in the Reddit community and talk about stuff that is not the Ham Radio Now show, and maybe answer some questions. There's a lot of things on there that are posted as questions or subjects for discussion where people are looking for knowledge, looking for information. And it appears to be aiming at a younger audience. And the thing that I complained about, and still to some extent do, is that people will ask questions, and they're generally fairly basic questions, and a lot of the answers that they'll get are not high quality, fairly poor signal to noise. And when I see something like that happening, I will get in there and answer the question. And usually my answer is 10 times longer than anybody else's, and I try to keep it contained. And I also try to only answer things that I have some knowledge and expertise of. I don't go answer. There's a lot of questions in there that I don't have anything worthwhile to say because I just don't have a good answer. So stay away from that. But I enjoy looking at it. I probably browse what they've got 2 or 3 times a week and answer something maybe once or twice a week. So this isn't brand new. This was produced, I don't know, maybe a year ago or so, and it was aimed at the young people in the Reddit community that might be interested in learning a little bit about ham radio. And so this is what these guys produced.
Are you tired of the same old amateur radio forums and online groups? Do the negative comments and OM attitudes cause QRM to your hobby? Are you looking to learn new digital modes or just chew the rag on sideband with like-minded folks? The Reddit Amateur Radio Sub is the perfect place for all hams to come and learn from experienced Elmers and have fun while operating on the air, all without the annoying negativity of the other online groups and YouTube channels.
What? Are you talking about me? Hey, are you talking to me?
Ask your tough questions to the group Elmers. Questions like, why is my Baofeng radio a potato?
That's
or,
a good question.
Why are the HF bands full of AIDS? The Sunday Night HF Net is a great chance to snag your needed states for WAS.
So look carefully at these 2 young ladies. They are the same person. They are one person wearing different a different wig mostly. The rest of the clothing I think is the same. And the voice is clearly the same.
And run JT65 while you make yourself a sandwich.
And the other thing is that pretty much obviously doesn't know what she's talking about. It's just reading a script. She's not a ham.
Interested in learning CW, or for those who are just trying to increase their Morse code proficiency. The Reddit community is made up of folks from all over the world, and there is one thing that they can all agree on. Reddit's amateur radio sub is fine business. Check out the subreddit at the link below.
There you
can
go.
Also find us on the Geek Shed IRC channel.
So again, it's not a real total criticism of what they produced, and who did that? FBOM, Fine Business Old Man, FBOM International. I think that's the only thing that they've ever posted on YouTube. There's their YouTube channel, and that is it. Again, it pales in comparison to the RSGB videos, but was pretty good for probably a pretty quick and dirty and low budget or zero budget thing. And if again, its goal was to attract Reddit people who are interested in technology to the ham radio subreddit and and to the ham radio hobby. And it probably succeeded to some extent in doing that. I have no idea, no way to measure it. How many people watched that? Do we have a number here? Oh, 6,200 views. So it got decent viewership, more than the average Ham Radio Now program. That is for sure. So good job, Reddit and FBOM International. But an interesting thing that I mostly just put it there because I think you'd be interested in seeing it, and there's a pretty good chance that you never did. We have just gotten done with Field Day. I produced the Ham Radio Now Field of Beams. 5-watt Field of Beams program. Had a good time doing that. Wore me out. I came across Field Day is typically a gold mine of media for newspapers, radio stations, television stations, mostly television stations covering ham radio field days, because you invite them because you get points, bonus points for publicity. So you invite the local TV station. And I kind of combed YouTube to see how many of those I could find. And I only found a few. I'm surprised. YouTube is loaded with videos that you have produced yourself. Tons and tons of ham produced video from various field day operations this year and going back for several years. Is the ability to do those things is getting better and better. Some are really pretty good. Some are, kind of the usual YouTube churn, but some are pretty good. So what I concentrated on were a few of the stories that were broadcast by a local TV station. So let's see. This one is actually a 2-part series. It's from a TV station in Sacramento, and it was done live with the reporter out in the field on a morning TV show, doing the program live from there. And they covered 2 segments. So I'm not going to play the whole thing, just a little bit of it.
Nan Wynn joins us live from Rio Linda with more. Hi, Nan.
But very cool to be
crazy.
live.
All of these people, more than 35,000, meeting through the airwaves. It's quite a sight out here. We're out in Rio Linda, and you get to see the club here, the ARRL, the Amateur Radio Relay League, has set all these up to test it out. Now, this is more than just...
Once again, ARRL, I think you need to change your name.
The exercise that people do. So I wanted to point out some of the antennas they have. This one is the most interesting. I was talking with the field day captain, and it's called a hex beam, but we are calling it a laundry hanger. Doesn't it look like one of those things where you sit there and you hang like all your clothes to dry off on? So anyways, all of this is a part, as I said, of a kind of an emergency exercise and something that's important.
So that's really good. She's doing this off the cuff pretty much after what people have explained to her. And she's doing a very good job. This is probably getting nominated for one of those awards that ARRL gives to journalists when they do a ham radio story, because this is really, really well done.
Exercise has been happening since 1933, right?
Actually, yes. The American Radio Relay League has been in existence for 101 years now.
Even longer than that.
Yes. We're the National Organization Association of Amateur Radio Operators for the United States. And we currently have 160,000 members across the nation. And we're out there to give support, advocacy, and education for the amateur radio community. And we also interface with government organizations.
I think that music is coming from the story. Let me make sure. Yeah, put that music behind there. And again, they're doing this live. So I'm not going to show all of that because it runs a little while longer. And I wanted to get to the second segment. So this is clearly the TV station sent a live truck, and the microwave or the satellite connection, or whatever they had to set up to get the reporter out there and their camera operator out there live. And so they made the most out of it, and they did a second segment.
Wynn checking things out there. Hey, now.
Good morning, you guys. Yes, 35,000, more than 35,000 folks all connecting through the airwaves. Some of those people right here. There are 4 stations set up out here at the historic Dry Creek Ranch out in Rio Linda, and we are going to get the
I didn't remember that they had music under there when I looked at this the first time.
Emergency preparedness, the chance for the public to learn about what they do and why it's so important. And then also, it's a contest about who can make the most connections. So today we're going to try and make those connections right now. I'm with Andy. He's the field day captain with the ARRL. And
River City ARCS.
There we go. Okay, and then, so we were talking
Andy
about
had to
names,
correct her.
I was trying to figure out if I could.
So they're going to try to do a live contact, and this is the danger of live because they don't make it.
FCC regulated name. So, for instance, Andy's is,
If you're going to do something like that live, you probably want to set something up so that it's going to work. And it doesn't quite work. They're going to try to make a contact, a search and pounce type contact.
So the way it works is you have the radio all set up, and we have this, and this is actually, we're not going to use Andy's call. They
hadn't staged anything, so they were just going to try to time it right, but they never quite got the timing.
The call we're going to use, or you're going to use, is November 6 North America, and that is the club station call for the River City ARCS. Our classification, which is information to the station we're calling on how many stations we have set up here, which we have 4 stations set up, and the alpha designator on there designates battery power.
Okay, he got that wrong because it doesn't, but he got everything else pretty much right, although I'm not sure I would want to go into that much detail about the arcane stuff of field day. You need to prepare what you're going to say so that you don't go through all those things, because that's what you know, and that's what is going to kind of spill out as you're describing field day.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
So what do I do?
When he's done calling, we'll give it 1 second. We'll have to wait until he's done.
Can you guys hear that? I have the worst scanner ears, in case anybody's wondering.
Oh, looks like he's talking to somebody. The timing was perfect.
Oh, darn.
All right.
Okay, I will try to do this.
Yeah, here's where it doesn't quite work.
Oh, well, you know what? We might not
And
get to
she
it.
has limited amount of time. She's got a certain amount of time for the segment, and they've got to go back to the station because they've got other things to do. So she's going to try again.
And
we're ready.
Off camera.
Okay.
Almost. Wait. Will it work?
Oh, man, we won't be able to get it, but it's okay. You guys can try. Again, 24 hours. I'm going to try it afterwards, though, so we'll send it back over to you guys, though.
Yeah.
10-4.
Okay, and I found one more. This one, channel 22, it is from Chicopee, Massachusetts. It's in western Massachusetts. We got a channel 22 here. Same channel number, different station. And they did their story.
Long before smartphones and the internet and the digital revolution, there were ham radio operators, and they're still going strong after the first
I hear that kind of an introduction over and over and over again. I don't know if TV stations pass that script around when they got to do a ham radio story or
Still
not.
feels relevant in spite of social media and other communication advances in recent years.
I don't like the idea that we're always tied back to ancient history and that we're not brand new cutting edge technology, because we've got some, but we're kind of stuck with that, I'm afraid.
As president of the Hampden County Group, he pointed out that there are times when ham radios come in really handy.
For example, if a normal means of communication, like a power failure or something happened to the communication systems, amateur radio operators are an excellent backup.
These ham radio operators spent the weekend at School Street Park in Agawam making connections around the world.
Yeah. And again, the emergency communications thing is always going to get brought up. And when I did my field day interviews, I would always talk about the emergency communications, but I would also talk about, that's a small part of what we do. And the big part of what we do is we have fun. Let's see. There's one more I'm going to show. It is from WMUR TV in New Hampshire. The call sign WMUR might be familiar because they're in New Hampshire, and during political season, the beginning of the primaries, everybody starts in New Hampshire, and WMUR is the station, the go-to station for all the networks to get reporters and stuff. So that's the WMUR that you probably heard of during the primaries. This program, I was looking for things in 2016. I was looking for current news programs. And although this video was uploaded in early 2016, back in January, which would have been before Field Day, I think it was produced many years ago before that because it's in standard definition. But it was still pretty cool. It's not an ordinary TV news story. It's from something called New Hampshire Chronicle. So it's a magazine show from the station. And they did a segment on ham radio, so it's a longer, more extended segment. This is just the introduction of the program.
4 Alpha, New Hampshire, over. How New Hampshire's hams stay ready to serve in an emergency.
When they had the flooding down,
You can tell it's narrow, the old standard definition video, so it's at least 10 years old.
When they had the ice storm in New London, it was amateur radio operators doing all the communication.
So an extended promotion for it, and then they go on to promoting something else. And then down here is where the actual segment gets started.
And speaking of history, and an icon who chronicled our history, Walter Cronkite.
Yeah.
So what does Walter Cronkite, Chet Atkins, and King Hussein of Jordan have in common?
Well,
somebody fed them this information.
Well, they were all hams.
Ham radio operators do cool things. They like to talk to folks around the world, and, well, they help with communication during emergencies.
Now, New Hampshire's Radio Minutemen are ready to serve in a moment's notice if called upon. Amateur radio operators also act as ambassadors of goodwill to other states and countries wherever their radio signals travel.
Now, each year, hams from across the state take part in what is known as Field Day, where they hone their skills in preparation for when they might.
Okay, so again, that's an extended segment. They spend a lot more time than a typical news department will spend doing their ham radio story. So you can look that up as well. I found one more thing. One more strange thing when I was looking for Field Day stories. And actually, I was looking for something else. I was looking through YouTube and Google podcasts and stuff, looking for ham radio. Okay, here's what I was really doing. I was trying to see if I could find Ham Radio Now podcasts by searching for the term ham radio. Because wherever I put the podcast, I had put it as one word, Ham Radio Now, and it wasn't getting searched very well. So I've split it up in as many places as I could. So it was Ham Radio Now, and looking to see where it could be found. It appeared better, but not everywhere else. Ham Nation and a bunch of the other shows all showed up, and it's going to take a while before Ham Radio Now shows up in those more generic searches. But this showed up. This strange thing. It's an album. It's on YouTube. It's there's no video playing. It's just the album cover and the song itself. And it is titled Ham Radio by Maxfield Gast. Never heard of him before. His album is called Eat Your Beans, and the song is Ham Radio, and we will shortly know why. Okay, so it's got the little theremin thing in there. As it goes on, it's got stuff that sounds like some of the more esoteric modes that are, very slow and multi-tone modes that make for some of the more robust weak signal digital modes on HF and VHF. So all that's behind a more generic jazz type track. It is not my favorite kind of music, but I thought it would be interesting to bring out here. And so just as I was wrapping things up for this program, I got email requesting I'll leave Max in there as the background music here. Requesting that I talk about this Hamfest. And normally, it really doesn't make much sense for me to talk about Hamfests because this program is going out worldwide, and unless it's Dayton or maybe Orlando, it's not going to cover the hams that might be coming to your local ham fest. So if you've got a local ham fest to promote, Ham Nation does this. Send your stuff to Ham Nation. Don't send it to me. But the reason that I put this one up is because this is a ham fest I used to go to when I was a kid back in the Chicago area. It is in Chicago. It is coming up August 7th, 2016. It's called the Hamfesters Ham Fest. It is in Peatone, Illinois, which is just a little bit south of Chicago, close enough to bring hams from the Chicago market. So if you are a ham and somewhere in northern Illinois, northwest Indiana, and maybe if you want to travel a little farther, Wisconsin, Iowa, or, who knows how far you'll go for a ham fest. Anyway, the Hamfesters Radio Club, 82nd annual. They've been around for a long time. They were an old ham fest when I was going to them back in the 60s. It is August 7th in Peatone, Illinois, the Hamfesters Hamfest. And that is it for this episode of Ham Radio Now. Arvin reminds me to tell you about our website, hamradionow.tv. Click on his icon if you enjoy the program. This is a very enjoyable program. It wasn't all that serious stuff we did on a previous show about the Parity Act. I still got to talk to those guys from ARRL about what's going on with the Parity Act. Still want to find out. But I had this one ready to produce and got this show, this Stranger Ham show. So it all seemed to come together. Plus, I've still got a lot of stuff from Dayton to get online. So I'm going to be a very busy boy for the next few weeks. So hamradionow.tv if you enjoyed the programs. And you can help me pay for all of this fabulous television equipment that is surrounding me. Camera up there, camera back there. There's one, let's see, does this camera show it? Yeah, you can, there's the camera over there. And of course, the one that I'm staring into right now. And the editing equipment, the production equipment. It's all very expensive. I put a lot of, I could have had one of the most awesome ham shacks ever. Multiple Flex 7600s and a couple ICOM 7800s thrown in for good measure for what I put into this. So I would rather do this, and I'll just play with my old 756 Pro 3 when it's time to get on the air. Speaking of which, tuned to WWV, and 15 megahertz is strong. $20 megahertz, nothing. So, sorry. Oops. Sorry. The upper bands are kind of punked out. The E season should be just about over, so we're not going to see much on 10 meters. 12 meters, even 15 meters. 17 will catch a little bit of F now and then. And the rest of the bands, once in a while, there'll be a little opening, but not very often, because the E's have pretty much eased their way out of the ionosphere. And we'll see them again on a little bit weaker cycle at the next solstice in December. Not solstice, equinox. Yeah. Equinox. Solstice. Yeah. I get myself confused. That's it. I'm Gary Pierce, KN4AQ. Oh, Lucas, get me out of here.
Me mean 10. Over and out.